Welcome to OJ Studios. I hope you enjoy Punishment by Olivia Julius. Chapter 13 Family. I watched out of the window as Mom drove down the little country road to Aunt George's house. Dust kicked up from the tires as gravel pelleted the side of the car. I watched out the window as fields flew past. But I could not focus on what was going on outside for long. I knew that once we got back to Aunt George's house that Ethan was going to see me, and I had no idea how he was going to react. Ethan is 11 years old and next year will in middle school. I have always looked up to him. But now I was afraid to think about what he might say. I looked down at the heels that Mom made me wear out of the store and sighed. I know I had made the goal to beat Rhea and Emily in the Spring Princess contest, but suddenly now I started to rethink my plans. Mom slowed down the car, waking me from my thoughts. I watched as Mom pulled into Aunt George's driveway and parked it next to Aunt Helen's car. "Ready or not?" I whispered to myself as I opened the car door and slowly got out. Mom went around to the back of the car and grabbed the bag containing the shoes and handed it to me. I took the bag and walked into the house while trying to ignore the fact that Mom was carrying the dress that I was going to be forced to wear tomorrow. Aunt Georgia opened the door and we all walked inside to find Rebecca and Aunt Helen sitting in the living room playing cards on an old worn-out card table that was placed in the middle of the living room. "This must be my new niece, Amanda," Aunt Helen said as she got up from the card game and coming over to hug me. "Just look at her, she's so adorable," Aunt Helen gushed. I looked up at her, almost begging for her to stop. "Ethan, gets over here and see your little cousin." I pulled away from her and looked towards the kitchen to where I could hear her footsteps come from. Ethan came in with one hand holding a can of Dr. Pepper and the other hand holding his cell phone. I could see through his glasses that he had been checking his Facebook before coming in. As soon as he entered the living room, he pressed the lock button on his screen and instantly his phone went dark. Ethan looked up at me for the first time since we arrived. He tilted his head a little, not sure if the girl standing there was me or not. "Whoa, Adam, is that really you?" Ethan asked, looking me up and down. "Remember Ethan," Aunt Helen calmly said, gently putting her hands on my shoulder. "This year Adam is Amanda," Aunt Helen said, "and I expect you to treat her with kindness and respect." "Yes, Mom," Ethan said. "I think it's great to teach Amanda some respect for girls. I only wish I had thought about doing that when Ethan got caught looking up a girl's dress." "I was 5, Moms," Ethan said in a stern voice, "and in kindergarten. Still, you would have looked cute in a fluffy pink dress," Aunt Helen said before switching her gaze back to me. "So, Rebecca told me that you got a new dress for tomorrow." "Yes," I said quietly. I did not notice Mom behind me grabbing the dress and taking it out of its protective bag. "Oh, would you look at that?" Aunt Helen said, gasping. I looked behind me just as Mom put the dress in front of me, showing her what it would look like on me. I could feel my face blush as I looked over at Ethan, who rolled his eyes as he dropped onto the couch and sipped his soda. I could not help but wonder what he was thinking. The three women both gushed over me for another minute before finally leaving the living room and going off to the back porch where Dad was fixing the large barbecue grill for tomorrow. This finally left Rebecca, Ethan, and I alone in the living room. "I think you look pretty as a girl," Rebecca said as she cleaned up the cards from the card game. "Thanks," I muttered. "I can't believe your parents thought of that punishment," Ethan said, looking over his phone. "It wasn't her parents," Rebecca corrected, "it was that girl in her class." "What was her name?" "Gracie," I muttered. Thinking back to that moment, it seemed odd to me that it had only been a few days ago that I had cut Gracie's hair. "So, my guess is that you like her," Rebecca said, prodding me with her finger. "No," I said. But I could tell Rebecca knew the truth. "Well, whatever the reason, I hope you learned your lesson," she said. "I have," I spoke. "Don't worry." "Good," Rebecca said, "I hope this one over here has learned his lesson about looking up my dress 6 years ago." Rebecca pointed over to Ethan, who looked up from his phone and through his teeth muttered, "I was in kindergarten,